Chapter 19. Listeners can't tell which is which. The afternoon sun peeked through the high windows of the South Street Recreation Center. It was a busy day. In one corner, kids were building giant towers out of blue foam blocks. In another, a group was playing a noisy game of tag. Leo sat at a circular table, happily reading his favorite book, The Big Book of Amazing Animals. Leo loved facts. He loved knowing exactly how the world worked. To Leo, a fact was like a treasure. Suddenly, Barnaby sat down across from him. Barnaby was known for saying things that weren't exactly true and saying them very loudly. "You know," Barnaby said, pointing at a picture of a penguin in Leo's book, "penguins are the laziest birds in the world." Leo blinked. The challenge began right then. Leo felt a pinch in his brain. He knew that wasn't true. He wanted to stay quiet and keep reading, but the fact checker inside of him was screaming to come out. "Lazy? No," Leo said, trying to be polite. "They are great swimmers. They hunt for fish in freezing water." Barnaby shook his head and folded his arms. "Nope. They have wings, right? But they don't fly. And they don't fly because they're too lazy to flap. They'd rather just slide around on their tummies like fluffy sleds." Leo felt a spark of heat in his chest. This was the hardest part. When someone says something so wrong, it feels like a heavy weight you have to lift. "That's not true, Barnaby." Leo's voice got even higher. "Penguins can't fly because their bones are heavy for diving, and their wings are shaped like flippers. It's science." "Excuses," Barnaby said with a shrug. "If I had wings, I'd fly. Penguins are just sleepyheads. They're professional nappers." Leo's face started to turn pink. He felt his energy battery draining away. He wanted to spend his afternoon reading, but now he was spending his energy being angry. It is a huge challenge to realize when you are being lured into a trap. They're not nappers. They survive in Antarctica. Do you know how hard that is? "Easy," Barnaby replied, leaning back. "You just sit on an egg and wait for lunch. Lazy bones birds." Leo stood up. His heart was thumping like a drum. "You are wrong," Leo shouted. "Penguins work harder than you do, and you don't know anything about birds." "And you're a grumpy Gus," Barnaby shouted back, laughing. "Grumpy Gus loves lazy birds." "I'm not a grumpy Gus," Leo yelled. He was waving his arms now. He was red in the face, and his foot was stumping. Just then, Coach Sarah walked over. She stood a few feet away and watched them for a while. A few other kids stopped playing tag too, and they looked over at them. "Look at those two," whispered a girl named Maya. "They're both just yelling nonsense at each other. Yeah, her friend agreed. I can't even tell what they're fighting about. They both just look like they're having a temper tantrum. Coach Sarah blew her whistle softly. Leo stopped mid shout. His throat felt dry and he felt very, very tired. Leo, Coach Sarah said quietly, come here for a second. Leo walked over. His shoulders slumped. Barnaby is saying things that aren't true, Coach. I had to fix it. It's so hard to just let him say wrong things. Coach Sarah knelt down, so she was now at Leo's eye level. Leo, I know it's a challenge to keep your cool when someone is being silly. But when you started shouting and stomping, what do you think the other kids saw? Leo looked at Maya and the others. They didn't look like they were impressed by his science facts. They looked like they were annoyed by all the noise between both of them. They saw two people acting like fools, Leo whispered. Exactly, Coach Sarah said. When you argue with someone who isn't interested in the truth, you're just throwing your energy into a trash can. From far away, if two people are shouting at each other, a listener cannot tell which one is the wise person and which one is the fool. They both just sound like noise. Leo took a deep breath. He realized the greatest challenge wasn't proving Barnaby wrong. The greatest challenge was controlling himself. I don't want to sound like a fool, Leo said. Then don't join in the parade, Coach Sarah smiled. Leo walked back to the table. Barnaby was waiting, ready to argue more. And another thing, Barnaby said, I bet penguins wear tuxedos because they're too lazy to pick out real clothes. Leo felt that itch to argue again. He felt the challenge of staying silent. But he pictured how he looked to everyone else, shouting and red-faced, and he chose a different path this time. He just smiled, closed his book, and stood up. That's a funny thought, Barnaby, Leo said calmly. I'm going to go build with the blocks now. Have a nice afternoon. Barnaby blinked. He opened his mouth to say something mean, but Leo was already walking away. Barnaby had no one to argue with. He looked around, but everyone else was busy. Without anyone to shout at, Barnaby just looked like a boy sitting alone, talking to a picture of a penguin. Leo felt his energy battery starting to charge back up. He learned a big lesson that day. You can't stop a fool from talking, but you can certainly stop yourself from joining the noise. The end. The powerful message here is, your peace is a treasure, and your energy is like money in the bank. Don't spend it on arguments that don't matter. When you scream at someone who isn't listening, you lose your glow and end up looking just like the person you are fighting with. Inspirational tips. Try the 10-second rule. When you feel the itch to argue back, count to 10. It gives your smart brain time to catch up with your mad brain. Check the energy price tag. Ask yourself, is proving this person wrong worth feeling tired and grumpy? Use a peace phrase. Instead of yelling, "You're wrong," try saying, "That's an interesting way to think about it," and then walk away. Visualize the listener. Imagine someone you respect is watching you from across the room. Would they see a wise person or just another loud voice? Wisdom for growth. True strength isn't found in having the last word. It's found in having enough self-control to walk away. The world is full of people like Barnaby, who just want to pull you into their noise. But growth happens when you realize you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Soar High, Dream Big. Chapter 19. Listeners can't tell which is which.